Hello, I'm doing a video series where I'm going to show just me working, trying to figure out how to do the shapes tool for the font editor I'm working on. So this is the editor I'm working on, and I'll show over here. This is RuneBender, which is a different font editor, and let me show. So here is the shapes tool. You can kind of see you drag out a shape and it shows the dimensions. I believe you can hold shift to keep it even on both sides. And we have the round shape tool. And this is kind of an interesting tool. Famously, I think it's RoboFont. I believe didn't come with the shapes tool, which is kind of interesting. I thought that was like one of the better design choices from the RoboFont project, where the shapes tool is kind of like a Hello World project for font editor design. And I'll kind of show, I can show the code. Let me see. So we have tools and we have the rectangle tool. Let me close this. And you can kind of see this is the way that it is set up for RuneBender. And I think what I'm going to do is, I think I'm just going to start by asking an AI agent to port this from RuneBender to my font editor. And then I'm going to go in and kind of clean it up manually. Let's see. So let's get started. As you can see, I have the shapes tool up here, and when you know what, the glyph pane is causing a lot of noise in the output. Why don't we're gonna need to quiet that. Okay. So here we have the Bezy project. We're on our shapes tool branch. Let's start a new chat. Let me grab the glyph pane and let's see. I'm just gonna say the terminal output from the glyph pane. Was it the glyph pane? Yeah. Too noisy. Can we remove all these info prints? So before we start working on the shapes tool, we're going to have like a lot of info debug terminal prints. So we just want to kind of get that down to the minimum first so we can work on that. And I'll kind of show you real quick. Here's the, well, this is working. Here's the edit mode toolbar. And we have the we're calling it the primitives tool. So we kind of have this just boilerplate here that hasn't been edited. Okay. Okay, what's going on here? What is going on with this error? So what's going on here is I ran cargo clean, and what cargo clean does is it like removes all the compiling that has been cached. So you have to compile everything again from the start. Where like when you don't run cargo clean, it will just kind of compile quickly, and it will only like recompile things that that have changed. So now that, okay, so now, well, this is going, here's what I need to think about. RuneBender does the shapes tool differently than what RuneBender is doing, where they've separated the rectangle tool and the oval tool into two things on the menu bar. I'm not sure I wanted to do that because you know, there's other like geometric shape primitives I might want to add later. So one way to do it is I could have where you select the shape primitives tool, it could give you a sub menu that lists a bunch of like sub menu shapes. So you could have a star tool or a hexagon tool, or like you could add anything you want. I think that's probably the better approach. So as part of doing the shapes tool, I think I might try to add that sub menu first, and then I could do the individual tools. Like I could do a star tool and a square tool and a circle tool, and both those would have the ability to like use the shift modifier key to constrain the proportions. Okay. Okay, this is building again. And it's going to tell us what caused the error. So this is like the best thing about using these agents is when like they can actually help you understand better, because I would not have been able to get this far in programming a font editor in Rust if I hadn't spent like years learning Rust without an LLM. Like I've probably like done the Rust book like 3 or 4 times. Like I've really like spent a lot of time learning Rust, and it's a difficult language at first. So and the good thing about Rust, I think, is that more than something like Python or JavaScript, it helps you like understand more like low level things. Like if I could go back and redo all my programming again, I really wish I would have just started with C, and just kind of built up from C as like my main early language instead of Python, because I think there's like a lot of cool things. Like I could have been doing like more harf stuff, and I could have been contributing to FontForge and that kind of thing. But that was kind of a skill issue on my part. But anyway, okay. Yeah, I did. Whatever. I just need to run cargo clean more. Okay, whatever. Let's make a new chat. And let's see. Let's close these old. So I'm going to say, let me find the primitives. Okay, here's the primitives. And we will add that to the context. And then we have this other directory over here that has Bevy, NORAD, and RuneBender. And what I do here is I port a lot of code from RuneBender, so I use this to give context to like how these things have been done in RuneBender. So we're adding the rectangle tool and the ellipse tool. And so I'm going to say, I am working on the primitives tool. Now, this is a tool that draws basic geometric shapes. See the rectangle tool and ellipse tool from RuneBender for reference. I would like to structure my tools somewhat differently because I might add other primitives in the future, like stars or hexagons. I think one way to do this would be to add a submenu under the edit mode So add a submenu under the edit mode toolbar when the primitives button is selected. This would look just basically like the edit mode toolbar. So one row beneath it. So I don't have icons for this yet, so I'm just going to say, just reuse the icons for the primitive button for now, and I'll add new icons later. Okay. Let's see how this goes. So just while this is working, I guess I could kind of show some of the other buttons. And these are all kind of really messy, but let's see. So you can see this is a edit mode button that's actually been filled in. So it has this command that sets the select mode to active. And it has these like terminal logging things. And yeah, this is pretty simple. It just has the select mode active resource. And so you can see here, this is the AI is filling this in for us. And let's see what it is doing. Oh, so this is I like this. This is really straightforward. So we just have a public enum, and an enum is an enumeration that tracks which primitive type is currently selected. And then we just have rectangle and ellipse. Future primitives types can can be added here. That's like isn't that a record label or a band or something? Future Primitive. I don't know. I've heard that term before. Impl primitive type. So this is an implementation. And this is just getting so all the button icons in this application are private use area code points in the UI font. So this is just mapping these to the already existing private use area code point. And then so if I design new icons for the circle or the square, then these are I can just swap this out with a different Unicode number, and that's super easy. Okay. So here it says, now we've created actual primitive implementation for rectangle and ellipse. Let's create these in separate files first. Okay. So, and I have this as, what it does is it stops before it runs terminal commands. You can do auto run in cursor, which sets this to what they call YOLO mode, but I absolutely refuse to do that because LLMs are like is stochastic the word? Like, they're like, they can make mistakes, and it could just decide to like RMRF like something on your file system. Like it could cause a lot of damage. There could be like some malicious thing that could just destroy your computer or like. So I keep YOLO mode off, and I have to approve everything it runs, which is actually kind of nice because I've actually I think I've improved my Unix skills by doing this, because I'm like, it'll do like a sed command or something, and I'll be like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Like, I'm getting better at Unix. So it made this is the new module file that it's made. Now let's see. Okay, so here it says, we need to fix a few issues with our implementation. The module RS file might have created a conflict with our existing code structure. Let's clean it up. So what is it doing? It's moving primitives mod to edit. Okay, that's weird. I don't really understand that, but I'll allow it. And when it does something like that, that's like maybe not a big deal, but I don't understand, usually what I do is I'll keep going, and then if it never works, if it's just AI slop code that doesn't compile, I just wipe the slate clean, just delete everything. But if it does work, I'll just go back and I'll ask it, like, why did you do this way? Or, like, can we do this a better way? Um, let's look at what the heck is the base file. This is interesting. I'm not sure if this is the best way to do things, but let's see. So it says perfect. Let's implement a system to handle mouse events for drawing primitives. It's really going for it. I'm curious if this will actually work, because usually when it does like a big like feature ad like this, it doesn't work. Is it just it bites off more than it can chew. So if this doesn't work, I'm just gonna like wipe it clean, and we'll try to do this in like smaller chunks. So I always like to check the review changes just to make sure that. So we got primitives, that it's not like putting stuff in files that it's not supposed to. Okay. Let's give this a try. So the nice thing is I don't need to accept all yet. I think I can just run it. Okay. So I'm going to say now I get these errors. And let's read the errors while it's working. So here it goes, file not found. I mean, these are really simple. I just forgot to import these. This isn't complicated at all. I see the issue. We have a file structure problem with our implementation. The main problem is that we've created a nested module structure that's causing Rust to look for files in the wrong place. Well, that makes sense because like the idea that they were using the base file instead of the mod file kind of told me that that was what was happening. Hmm. So let's see what they're actually doing. So here's the ellipse tool. Here's the rectangle tool. Okay. So we fixed the blah, blah, blah. So let's see if that is correct. Fewer errors. Now I like to give it a little bit of encouragement at this point. So I'll say, now I still get a few errors, but fewer. You can do it. So what's it doing now? Make directory, edit mode toolbar, primitives tools. Okay, that makes sense. Overwrite. The beauty of Git is you can just be like as sloppy as you want and then just erase everything. Sure. Sure. Now we've got the mod file in the tools. We've got this. We've got the UI. And now, so we have the spawn primitive submenu command. That looks good. So here we have primitives mod. Mouse button input. Okay, I'm feeling about like 50-50 on if this is going to work. I would like to be pleasantly surprised, but there's a very good chance that this doesn't work. And so this is, I think, one of the disadvantages of using Rust in something like Cursor is I've heard from people that are like know a lot more about like the way the like LLM industry works is that things um, like with an interpreted language like Python, what happens is like what it's doing here. Um, I think in the background, a lot of these like LLM agents are like running the Python file more often, so they get like a little bit better feedback loop. But there's other advantages to Rust with this kind of workflow. Like I think the main one is that the like strictness of the Rust compiler kind of acts as like a safety guard for like sloppy like LLM generated code where it's like you can have kind of like sloppy code and the strictness of the compiler helps you clean it up and like ensure like there's just like a baseline level of like sanity in what you're using. Um, and I think the Rust error messages, I think they work really well with this kind of programming because they're so much easier to like read than like a Python error message for me. Uh-oh. Let's resume the conversation. So I want to look at how the rectangle tool is working so far. So this is good. They've Okay, what's going on here? Sure. So they've implemented the shift lock thing. Which is what we were doing in what we were doing in RuneBender, where we can make like a square with the same number of units on each side. So that's good. And it looks like this is somewhat sane. And this is good. This is exactly how I would have. I mean, I've done shape tools in. I believe I did one for TrueFont, and I did one in MFEK, and this is kind of similar to the way that I did this for those. Okay. So I'm just going to skim the summary of what we've done. We've successfully implemented a primitive tool with submenu for different primitive types, modular structure for primitives, implemented a submenu UI, implemented primitive drawing tools, made the system extensible. Okay, so let's run this. And okay. So shapes tool, and it crashed. So let me add that to the chat, and I'll say the app compiles, but when I click on the primitives tool in the edit mode menu, it crashes. And let's look at panicked at base. Oh, it's the base file. Okay. I see the issue. The app is crashing with this error. The problem is our handle primitive. And the nice thing is you can just click on these hyperlinks, and function is using single to get a camera, but your app has multiple cameras. Well, we want to use the design camera, obviously. Or is that, is it something with the... So the way I've architected this is I have, for doing panning and zooming, I have two different cameras. I have the design world camera, which is like the design world space that can be panned and zoomed. And I have the static, UI camera. So let's see. Cargo check. Cargo check's really nice. It's like you just, you can run it to, it's like you're compiling it, but it's just if you're checking for errors. So it doesn't actually launch the app, which can be annoying. I really like cargo check. Let's see. Yeah, it did it. That is awesome. It actually worked. So now we have a rectangle tool and an ellipse tool with these little, so let's see if it actually works. It doesn't work. But that is progress. So that is good enough where usually, so I'm on a shapes tool branch and we've actually made progress. So I'm going to add a commit here. So I'm going to go, first I'm going to do, let's see, I'm going to do cargo FMT, which that's kind of like, so cargo FMT is kind of like running black in Python. It just formats the code. So now we can do get status and we see everything that we've created. What the heck did it do? I want to see what it did to data. So I'm going to do get diff. I don't want it messing up data.rs because that is a very important file. Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay. Oh, you know what? None of this is... this is all just cargo format. I must have not run cargo format when I checked this in. So that is good to know because my initial reaction to seeing data in the changed files was that, okay, this is pretty much all cargo format. And let's see, glyph pane. Okay, so I'm just going to get at all, get status, and I'm going to say first pass at lmgen of the shapes tool system. And I note that it's like LLM generated because like obviously I need to go in and refactor this. So okay. So let's see what it thinks it does. The bug was fixed in the camera handling code. The original code was blah, 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 blah. Fixed camera handling. Added error handling. So I'm just going to say, Okay. So let's look at this end draw method. So end draw is it's in both rectangle and ellipse, and in primitive's base. Okay, so here's the end draw function. It takes position. We need to probably remove that underscore, because so in Rust, an underscore is a way you use the underscore to suppress warnings for something not being used when you're implementing something. Okay. Now that we have the complete picture, let's implement the rectangle drawing functionality by modifying so this is nice. We actually see how it's changing the end draw function in rectangles right now. So this will be implemented when the drawing system is ready. So this is nice right here. So it makes a new vec of contour points. Add the 4 corners as on-curve points clockwise. Bottom left. That's what we want. It's Latin-centric, but we live in a Latin-centric world, so you have to choose bottom left or bottom right. I think like as AI gets better, I do think it would be like really interesting to do like an Arabic first type font editor at some point. Like part of the interesting thing about this is like I'm trying to design this for Arabic from the start, but when you actually try to do it in practice, it's really difficult. Like you just get forced to do everything kind of Latin first, but I think I'm probably doing a better job than most font editors, because what most font editors do is they do Arabic support gets tacked on like after there's been a lot of work, but I'm kind of like trying to have dual, like dual Arabic Latin support from the start. Like, it's just too difficult to not make Latin the like primary thing that's supported. But like, I think like building it for Arabic from the start is something that's kind of unique about this editor. I think that I might get some, as this progresses, like I feel like there might be like some user interface innovations I can make along the way. Okay, so it's adding a NORAD create contour event. That seems good because we haven't done the pen tool yet, so we haven't really done anything for that yet. I kind of figured the shapes tool, it's like better to just do the shapes tool first. And the pen tool is a lot more complicated, but the shapes tool kind of like sets the foundation for the pen tool. So you can kind of figure everything out, get the shapes tool working, and then you can add the pen tool later, and then you've got most of the like functions that you need to do the pen tool. So what's this big chunk down here? Handle create contour. Okay, this seems maybe a little overly complicated, but a nice thing I like to do is like I like to just get things to a state where they're working and compiling. And then I'll come back and I'll do a pass where I'll like go through each function and I'll be like, I'll just select the function and I'll go in the chat and I'll say like, how can we make this more readable? How can we make this more performant? And just kind of tackle it in chunks like that. Like if I try to intervene in the like initial creation, sometimes what'll happen is the LLM will like latch on to like a specific thing I said, and then they will like weight that too high for like something I'm interested in, and then it will like those specific recommendations will like ripple through the decision making process in a way that kind of ruins the thinking process of the LLM. So I've kind of found that that's a better way to work with this stuff. So now let's see what the current changed files are. So get status. We've got the commands, the edit mode toolbar, the library. I'm a little bit concerned about this, so let me do a get diff. Okay. So it just added the path module. Let's do cargo check. And let's do get diff source path. So this has a lot of new code. Let's look at that. And this is, you get the like yellow syntax highlighting over here of all the stuff that has changed. So you have the primitives. Okay. So let's look at path. Oh, it looks like it's deleting a lot of this. It's using Kerbo, which is good. I had to, like, earlier on in this project, it like didn't want to use Kerbo and wanted to use, and Kerbo is a line bender library from that Runebender uses. So kind of the way I think about this is I try to use as many of the line bender libraries as possible. But sometimes they don't always make sense with the Bevy like entity component system, so I don't always use them. Let's see. Okay, I guess that's looking good. I'm still not loving this base file. This looks like a mess. Okay. Um, you know, I'm starting to feel like this might actually work, which would be shocking. But we'll see. I really feel like it's the AI agents. They constantly, I think, try to bite off more than they can chew, and like they try to be way too ambitious. Where like it really works the best when you're just working in like small chunks. But let's see. Sometimes it does make sense to do everything at once. I can never tell if I want to put like background music in these videos because sometimes I'll watch programming videos and um, I'll like listen to my own music and I'll kind of like that they don't have music. But sometimes I do enjoy the music in programming videos, so it's like I can never really figure out what the best way to do that is. So if you have any thoughts on that, I seriously doubt that anyone will ever watch this video. But I'd like to figure out what people prefer there. There's like a lot of like dead time where like I'm just trying to figure out what's going on. And part of the reason I like doing the videos is it's kind of similar to doing like a rubber duck thing where I'm just like talking out loud and being in kind of like a recording performance mode really helps me think through problems and work quickly. Allowed dirty. Okay, I've never seen that before, but I'll allow it. It runs. So okay, so this is interesting. It says the rectangle and ellipse tool should now be able to create contours in the glyph outline. So let's see if that's true. Oh my god, amazing! It worked! It worked. That is, oh my god, we live in the future. Oh my god. We really, this is, what a time to be alive. Like, I cannot believe that actually worked. The ellipse tool works. This is insane. I cannot believe this. You know, this is so funny to watch because I have an old video on YouTube from 2017 where I'm programming a shapes tool for TrueFont, and it takes forever. It's like multiple videos, like programming the shapes tool, and I'm doing it all manually, and I'm a much worse programmer, and I don't know what I'm doing. Does this persist? Oh my god, it does. This is amazing. So there is a bug where it looks like this is not selecting. Yeah, so let's play around. Let's see what this can do. So this is an annoying bug where it looks like it's not deselecting these. So there is the rectangle, and I'm just now noticing that one thing that we haven't implemented that we need to implement soon is the little arrow that's like the path direction arrow. So you know like which direction the path's going, and but that shouldn't be that hard to do. So we do rectangle. Does shift work? Okay. So it looks like shift isn't working. That's okay. We'll do ellipse. And one thing that we'll need to add in is for the ellipse, it would be nice to have actually like a preview of the ellipse. But yeah, I'm so happy with this. This is really good. I'm gonna call this good. This is like a good place to end this first session. But yeah, if you watch this, thanks for watching. I'm going to try to do more of these. It's really early in the process of this project, but I'm like always looking for collaborators and contributors, and eventually I'm gonna move this repo off my private GitHub repo to something that's like part of an organization, and try to get collaborators or anyway. So thanks for watching, and I'll probably do another video where I clean up and refactor this tool and make it better, because like, well, it did make the tool, but I know from looking at the code, it's an absolute mess. But I mean, I think the thing that's really cool about these tools is that it would have taken me a whole day to do this manually. And so, like, doing it this way, you can get a basic version done in an hour, and then you go in and clean it up manually. And it's just a massive time saver. It fixes the kind of, in programming, a lot of times you have the like blank page problem where it's like you just need something to start with, and then once you have a starting place, you just start changing variables, like changing imports, and you just need something to like grab onto initially, and you can get going. So anyway, I'm going to end this video, but thanks for watching. I'm in complete shock that this worked, but thank you. Bye.